Good evening, rockers. Vegas Rock Goddess here on the rocks. Total entertainment. Coming to you live from Las Vegas. We're about to interview Out of the Darkness. So let's go ahead and get Eric in, or I'm sorry, Brett in. Doo-doo-doo. Hey, Brett. Brent. Okay, I see a picture of him.
Hey,
Hey, how are you? I see a picture of you drumming. Okay, there
there
you
we
go.
go.
How are you?
Good. Sorry, I just got home. I had to work late tonight.
No problem. The Vegas Rock Goddess knows all about that.
Right on.
Well, welcome to On the Rocks, Total
Thank you.
Entertainment. Um, we're gonna talk. I think we're waiting for Eric.
Okay.
Okay, so I really want to get to the nitty gritty of what you guys are doing because I'm a huge fan.
Oh,
Um,
awesome. Thank
yeah,
you.
I've been following you guys for a few years now, since I was on Keep Rock Alive. So
Okay.
it's great to finally get you honed in for an interview.
Right on. Well, thank you.
So while we're waiting for Eric, why don't you tell me a little bit about this tour that you guys are going to be on?
Well, right now we're focused on finishing our record. I know we've got the one festival out in Vegas, and I think a couple months after that we've got some dates like maybe in Texas. Um, I think in some surrounding areas in there. It was booked and then it was rescheduled for later on. So I hate to say, but I'm not exactly sure.
Okay, that's all right. You can always shoot me the info and I can pass it along.
Okay, right on. Will do.
But yeah, so it's great that you guys are getting back on the road
Right on. Yep, that's where it's at.
for sure. Okay, I've got Rich is talking to me. I'm like, okay. So yeah, so tell me a little bit about your background. I know that you used to play in Iced Earth,
Yep.
and I am a huge Iced Earth fan.
Oh, nice, nice. Yeah, I mean,
And
technically, go ahead.
yeah, when I saw it, I'm like, yeah, I know who. You know what I mean? You know how things you meet people or you'll hear a band or something like, yeah, I know that guy.
Right on. Right on.
So
Technically, I'm still in the band, but the
okay,
band is on indefinite hiatus, as I'm sure you know.
right. So why don't you tell me a little bit about how you became in Ice Earth and how this project came into fruition.
Okay. The initial story of how I joined Iced Earth is it's kind of peculiar. Um, so I was into I don't know if you know who Sanctuary is.
Uh huh.
You ever heard of Sanctuary? I was a big Sanctuary fan back in the day, and I saw in a magazine that they had a new band called Nevermore. And it was one of them things where, send us a postcard and we'll send you like a Zampler CD. And I got the Zampler CD and it had a Nevermore tune on it, but it had this other band that I had heard of before, but I wasn't real familiar with called Iced Earth. And there was a song called Last December on it that I thought had a really cool intro on it. So this is kind of dating myself, but back in the day of answering machines, um, I put the little intro in the background of my voice message on an answering machine. And I had never talked to Iced Earth, any of the guys or anything. Well, apparently they were looking for a drummer, and a good buddy of mine by the name of Steve Woodham. He's just kind of one of these guys that like knows everybody. And the only time he had ever talked to Iced Earth, he's like, is there anything I can do to help you guys? And they're like, well, we need a drummer. And they were based out of Tampa at the time, and I'm up in Jacksonville. And so he passed my name and number on to John Schaefer, the band leader. Well, and this is where it gets peculiar. John Schaefer calls me. He's never talked to me before. I don't know him. And he's leaving me a message. And then he's like, oh, shit. I know that song because I had his song on my answering machine. So it's kind of one of them things. And he left me a message. He's, explained the situation. We're looking for a drummer and whatnot. And, I got back to him. So it was kind of one of those things that seemed to be like destiny, maybe. It was kind of foretold. It was just a funny thing that the first time he calls me, I've got one of his songs in the background on my answering machine. And so they were auditioning, I want to say about 12 or 15 different drummers. I think I was the next to the last guy that came down. And it was like maybe on a Friday I came down, and there was another guy coming down the next day. Anyhow, he called me Sunday and he said, you got the gig. And, I guess the rest, as they say, is history.
Wow. Yeah. Cause I mean, that band has definitely got a long history.
Oh, yeah.
I've been following them for decades. And this band, Out of the Darkness,
Out of darkness.
yeah. How did this like come about?
The way this came about was there was going to be a long break with Iced Earth, and I wanted to start my own band that I would have more of a controlling interest in creatively as far as otherwise. And I got in touch with an old friend of mine named Rich Brown, who's our manager, and I told him kind of what I was wanting to do, and he's like, "Okay, well, we need to find a killer singer. Let's build it around that. Let's make that the first piece." And I didn't expect to hear from him quite so soon, but within a matter of days, he's like, "I found this guy, Eric Barrios," and he's like, "You got to check him out." And I've been doing this for a little while, and I don't mean to sound jaded or anything, but Rich is like, "Yeah, this guy's killer and whatnot." And I was like, "Yeah, whatever. I'm sure the guy's great, whatever."
Oh
And
yeah, I've heard that many times.
right. So I listened to a song that he had done. He did a song called "I Surrender," which we actually redid. It's on our record. And I was like, "Man, that boy's got some pipes. I think we can do something with that." He called Eric, and Eric just happened to be an Iced Earth fan. And Eric thought he was kidding when he first called him up. He's like, "Yeah, I'm, forming a new band with Brent Deadly Smedley, and we're wanting to see if you'd be interested." And Eric's like, "Yeah, whatever." He didn't believe him at first. It was kind of one of them things, which to me, that's hard for me to believe that kind of stuff, when people say stuff like that. But he got me and Eric together just a couple weeks after that. We met at like a jam night, and we just kind of got up and did, some staples like Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, maybe Black Sabbath or something, and we just kind of hit it off. And I mean, Eric is such an amazing dude. He's a great human being. He's such a sweetheart, and he's so immensely talented. I mean, the boy has just got a voice. He's got a serious voice on him, and he's also a very good guitar player. And on top of that, he's a great writer. So I didn't realize all that at first. We were just looking at his voice, but me and Eric got together and we started it from there. And after that, we found the other pieces of the band one by one, and we went in, and it kind of came together pretty quick. We went in and did our first recording, and it's just me and Eric out of the band that are on the record. That's on that first record. There's a couple other guys that Chucky Shea from Big Dismal. He actually played guitar on a couple tracks and bass on a couple tracks. And we had David Michael do some keys. He did a really neat intro for us. It's called Through the Light. But we put that album together rather quick. I mean, it's just an EP.
Right. All right, Eric's coming in, so I'm
Okay.
going to get him all
Right.
situated here. We'll continue.
Okay.
Hey, Eric.
How y'all doing?
Hey, how are you?
What's up? There's Big E.
Very good. Let me see, how do I turn on that camera? There we go.
There we go.
There he
Hi,
is.
Eric. Welcome to On the Rocks.
What's going on?
We've been talking, chit-chatting here about the band a little bit, and he was giving me some insight as to all how you guys got together.
Nice. Brent is quite insightful indeed.
He surely is. So now that we've got you, you're the guitarist, vocalist, and songwriter extraordinaire. Is that correct?
One of the songwriters,
Yeah. Your band is amazing. Like I was telling him, I've been following you guys for a couple years, and it's just amazing to have you on and talking to you about a little bit about the history of this band. And I know the tour was postponed for a later date. But you guys can shoot me all that info, and I can totally promote that for you whenever you guys are ready.
Nice.
Definitely.
But let's talk. I want to kind of take a step back for a second. Let's talk about pandemic 2020.
Uh,
Okay. I mean, I do this with all the bands because I think it's really important that everybody knows really what you guys went through as musicians. So Brett, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about how that pandemic affected you.
okay. Well, pretty much what I had been telling you earlier about how we got it together and went in and recorded. The pandemic hit. I want to say that it hit right after we did the drum tracks, which the tracking was done at what's the name of the studio again, Eric?
Studio Live USA in Oviedo, Florida.
We had gone there to do the tracking, and as soon as the drum tracks were done, after that weekend is when the pandemic hit. So it didn't affect us, I guess, as much as a lot of other people, being that we're in Florida. And Florida tended to stay a lot more open than I think most other states. But so it didn't affect the recording really all that much. But where it did really affect us is when we started to come out playing live. We basically covered Florida at first because that's about the only place that you could play. I want to say we did about 10 shows in Florida, like Jacksonville, Tampa, Orlando,
Tallahassee.
Tallahassee. Yeah, I'm sure there's maybe some we're forgetting.
Yeah, there's something we're forgetting.
We just tended to kind of do what we could. You know, that's all we really could do as far as getting out playing live. So we really worked Florida at first, which is kind of a good idea anyway, to kind of spread it from where we are, kind of do the grassroots campaign. So but you know, of course the crowds were probably smaller than they would have been. You know, everybody's afraid of of catching the funk. So I would say it affected us in that way, and it was just kind of another obstacle. I think sometimes when you're doing something really good or you're about to make a breakthrough, that's when you start to get a lot of resistance. So we dealt with that until things started to clear up, and then we started spreading our music far and wide. You know, we've been up as far as New Jersey, we've been over to like Ohio and all the places right around in there.
Yeah, it's great because the only reason why I brought it up is because when I was co-host to Keep Rock Alive, I was actually interviewing bands during pandemic,
Oh
and
man.
the stories behind some of these bands are incredible. And I just think these stories need to be told. Now, Eric, how did it affect you as well?
Well, for me personally, well, one thing was obviously the big studio delay. You know, everything closed down, all the facilities, including the studio that we were working at. So that stopped us for maybe like a month or so, something like that. And we did get it done. And then we had to get it mixed all the way in Kingsland, Georgia. So, I mean, for the most part, the biggest effect was in the live performance, like Brent said, you know, anywhere we went, we were limited at first to mostly Florida since the rest of the states were mostly closed up, you know. And by the time we finally did get out there, you know, things started to change. Things got better, you know. So we started to go far and wide, just like Brent said, you know. It was good. It was like a warm up. It was like a warm up in Florida before we went out there and really started bringing the metal around, you know.
Right.
Bringing the metal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
because I think most of the whole thing with what great came out of this was the fact that bands got to write, they got to stay home, they got to hone in on their bands and their songwriting abilities and working with other artists that they would maybe not normally work with. So I think a lot of these bands are bringing a different dynamic, such as your band, to this. I mean, we're out of it. It's amazing. The music that's coming out, it's almost like a new birth of heavy metal.
Nice. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, we try to make our own brand, our own sound, our own stamp on metal, and we're trying to bring that out there. Trying to bring our own style of what we think is fresh new metal and fresh new metal. Yep, yep.
Right? But
Trying to create our niche. I'm
that's
sorry.
right. You guys have a niche, that's for sure. And I think there's so many titles now that they're giving metalcore. I mean, I think I've pretty much heard all of them, but I mean, what it comes down to is your performance and the songs, and you playing them live and getting them in front of an audience.
Yep.
Right on. One thing that just to close the discussion about the COVID, one thing that
Sure.
did affect us was that as we were branching out into the other states, a lot of times there was the issue of like, well, this club we can't play here unless everybody takes the jab, takes the shot, and none of us
Yeah.
took it. None of us were like, we're not going to do it. I'm not, we don't know what's up with that. I'm not going to do it.
Right.
So there was that factor, and it's like, as much as we want to play wherever, I
Yeah.
didn't. None of
Well,
us wanted to do that.
yeah.
So
And like I said, I just wanted to touch on it because, like I said, I think it's an important story that needs to be told. And now we're in 23 and everybody is full steam ahead with their touring as well as their performing live.
right on.
So, Eric, tell me a little bit about some of your influences with this band.
Right. Well, I've always been a fan of music since I was a kid. I started off listening to like the radio in my parents' cars or my grandfather's car. My grandfather would always have like Latin music playing, salsa or whatever, because he's Cuban, my grandfather. And then my parents, they would listen to like a Light FM or something, that easy listening stuff. And I honestly loved it all. But then once I started when I was like around 10, 11, I got really into pop music. And then I got into rock. Yeah, and then the next thing I know, I'm a fan of heavy metal. So it was all just kind of a musical evolution. Since a kid, I loved it, obsessed with the art of music and just listening to different artists. Then I had that pop obsession. I was into NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, Britney. I mean, that stuff is great. People like to hate, but it's really there's good stuff
Yeah,
there.
I mean, hey, it's there. It's part of our musical history, if we
Yep,
want it to be or not.
yep, yep. Max Martin, he's got his fingerprints all over that. Anyways, yeah, it progressed from the pop into the rock right away. My dad showed me a lot of classic rock. He showed me like Foreigner, Journey, that kind of stuff, Led Zeppelin. And then my cousins got me into the heavier stuff. I started listening to like a little bit of System of a Down, and that kind of like tripped me into heavy metal. Then all of a sudden it was Metallica, Megadeth, Death. I don't know. I got really, really deep into it. And next thing I know, I'm playing death metal, and and now here I am playing in Out of Darkness. It's been quite the ride, and I'm happy for it.
Yeah, and you guys sound amazing. Uh, Brent, let's talk about your influences.
Uh, I would say that my influences from my earliest days, it's pretty much the classic bands. I would say that Black Sabbath for sure, and Jimi Hendrix at the same time. I was kind of into those two bands first, and then after that, it progressed to bands like Judas Priest, and then the real ringer for me was Iron Maiden. When I saw them live on the Peace of Mind tour, I
Oh
was
yeah.
like, that's what I want to do, my version of that kind of thing.
Yep.
So those bands, what's that?
Yeah, that's awesome. I love Maiden. They're
Yeah,
great to see live.
yeah, they're the kings for sure. And then after that, it was bands like Queensryche, and then Pantera, bands like that. But yeah,
Very
those
cool.
were my earliest.
Yeah, your band has a very unique sound.
Thank you.
Um, very eclectic as far as a lot of different bands kind of rolled into one.
We kind of think of ourselves as, not to compare us to them by any means, but we're
Right.
sort of like a Queen type of a band in that we're not really into a box as far as, well, you know, if it's not heavy enough, we can't do it, or if it's too heavy, we can't do it. We want to kind of make it just, you know, it is whatever it is, and we are our own kind of a thing.
Yeah. And you guys are branding your own sound, which is great.
Thank you.
Hey, I want to talk to you about the video "I Surrender" a little
Okay.
bit. Who directed that?
I
Charles Harmer from Brutal Noodle Studios. He kind of really took charge. You know, he had some limited resources to work with. You know, he said, "This is the budget. This is the places that we have, the scenes or whatever." And then he just kind of whipped it together. You know, he made it happen. Next thing we knew, Charles was, you know, up on ladders filming shots, or riding a golf cart filming things, or, you know, lighting barrels on fire, you know, and he really went in. He went in.
oh
He
yeah.
he worked very hard, and we're very happy with his work. And Charles, if you're listening to this, you rock, man.
Oh yeah, you
Yeah,
did a great
that
job.
video is so cool, man.
Thank you.
Do you guys plan on doing a lot more
Oh yeah,
videos like that?
most definitely.
Yep.
Most definitely.
Yeah, I think getting
Cincinnati's
that
becoming.
visual out to maybe that person that doesn't know who your band is really going to help like push you guys forward, because that video really stuck out to me.
Thank you.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing song. We were very happy with what he did, and I mean, he did all that basically in one day. It's one day of actual shooting. And me and Eric were also with him for a bit of the next day. But as far as the whole band, it was one day. So he did
Right.
that in a matter of hours.
That's very cool. Now let's talk a little bit about Seize the Day.
Okay. Do you mean
Um
the record or the song?
well, both. Give me a
Okay.
little background on that.
Okay.
See,
Do you want to take it, Eric?
yeah, I'll tell her. Well, Seize the Day, the song itself, you know, we were wrapping up the record. We were getting towards the end of it, and we said, "Oh, we kind of need another song, something a little bit faster." And we whipped up Seize the Day. It was there wasn't much to it, honestly. We wrote it really, really quickly. You know, I had some of the riffs kind of fleshed out already, but then the lyrics kind of came real quick. Next thing we knew, bam, we had a song. And that song, to me, I feel like it really sums up a lot of what Out of Darkness is about, because, you know, it's got, you know, Brent's thunderous drumming, you know, the double bass, you know, Wizard over there. Yep, yep. And it's got a really fresh production to it. You know, it's got a really unique sound. It brings our new style of riffs together with, like, you know, there's singing. There's a little bit more of the aggressive type vocal too, and it kind of puts together a lot of our elements. So I think it's a great introductory track for somebody that might want to find out what Out of Darkness is about. You know.
Right. And that's, yeah, absolutely. Which is really super cool. Tell us a little bit about the rest of the band.
Okay. Well, we have a really amazing little bass player by the name of Bronzell Smith. Um, he plays well beyond his years. He's the youngin in the band. I think he was the next piece that we got after me and Eric. We got Bronzell.
Yep.
Um, and then after that, we recruited Cody Sukumski. We had actually seen him play in his other band called Traversing Infinity. They're like a gent kind of a progressive band. And one of the things that was neat about the record is that we had an old friend of mine by the name of Bobby Coble. He did 3 guitar solos on it, and he's an amazing guitar player. He's played with Death. He was on the Symbolic record, and he's also very talented playing jazz and all kinds of stuff. So we needed to find somebody that could duplicate that, and we knew that Cody had the skills that we needed. So he was the next in line. And after that, initially, we had an old friend of mine by the name of Sean Johnson that was the other guitar player, and he also sang some backup vocals. He was with us for a while, but in the end, he couldn't really tour as much as we needed. And for other reasons, he stepped aside. And then we brought in the powerhouse, which is Bill Staley. So he's our other guitar player now. Bill's just an amazing human all the way around, and
Yeah, absolutely.
so extremely talented.
Yeah, I mean, between Eric and him, I mean, your guitars are amazing.
And
It's
Cody,
like you totally mesh.
thank you.
There's a lot of strings on the table here in this band.
They all played in 12-string guitars and shit.
Wow. That's awesome.
Good old time. We love our big guitars here.
Well, yeah, you need that big sound, man.
Yep.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we've got a really great bunch of guys. I mean, I think that we don't have any weak spots within the band. Everybody is amazingly talented, and you know, I'm the geezer in the band. I'm the old guy. You know, but we've got we've got some youngins in the band. Bronzel and Cody are still in their 20s, so they bring our average age down quite a bit. But everybody I think is amazingly talented, and everybody comes from somewhat of a different background, so it tends to make the overall sound much more what's the word I'm looking for? Complete,
Diverse, maybe.
diverse. There we go.
Diverse, yeah.
Singer come up with the word. There we go.
Yeah, I think that's a great word to describe your band because you're very diverse. You each have your own individual thing that you're bringing to the table, and that makes your sound unique and different, but yet still rocking, man,
Yeah.
Thank you.
for sure.
Thank you. I think that the really good bands, that's what their appeal was, is that they didn't sound like anything else. You know
Right.
what I mean? So that's what we're going for.
Yeah. Now, are you guys going to be playing some Florida shows while you're waiting to go back on tour? What's the prognosis here? What are you guys doing?
I guess that's a possibility, but right now we're pretty much focused on just finishing the new record. So I mean, Florida shows are always a possibility, being the the proximity of it. This is where we live and whatnot, and you know, we would probably do some maybe as a warm up for another tour, you know, just to get our feet wet again and just to get out
Right.
there and jam. So right now there's nothing booked, but you know, that could change.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, I know a great band out of Tallahassee. I think Divided Truth.
Nice.
They're friends of mine. Yeah, that's a great Florida band as well.
Yeah,
Florida has a great community of metal.
oh
That
yeah,
I
most
think,
definitely. There's a lot of talent in this state.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
we
I
know these
think
guys.
they don't realize people don't realize it, but from that part of the country, you've got some great metal bands coming from Florida.
Oh yeah, a lot of talent here. Yeah, we know the Divided Truth guys. They're
Yeah,
actually from Jacksonville.
yeah, Jacksonville. Yeah, but they're pretty amazing. They're
Those are
I've
bands,
interviewed them. They're a great bunch of guys.
Right on. Yes, they are. I've known some of them for quite a long time. You know, there's a father and son duo in the band.
Yeah, yeah. I interviewed them during pandemic.
Ah,
Believe it or not, yeah, and that's how I became friends with them. But
right on.
yeah, it's crazy this world of rock and how everybody it's a community. Like everybody knows each other. You know, even if
Oh
you
yeah,
don't live in Florida, you live here in Vegas, I mean, there's a connection.
Yep. Somebody
right on.
knows somebody who knows that guy or
Yeah,
whoever.
Right,
I know that guy. I hear that a lot. I hear that a lot from other bands. It's
right on.
crazy. But yeah, I can't wait to have you guys in Vegas.
Right on. We're looking forward to it.
Should be a
Yeah,
blast.
for sure. Yeah, Vegas is becoming really the music mecca for hard rock and heavy metal right now.
Nice.
We've got some great bands coming out of Vegas. And it's 23 is going to be a great year for I think for everybody.
Right
Oh,
on.
yeah. Everyone's dropping new records. Everyone's going on
Yep,
tour. It's going to be very metal.
exactly. Exactly. Now, Eric, do you like work with any other bands like as side projects or anything like that?
Right now, Out of Darkness is the only band that I'm doing at the moment. I don't know if I really have time for a second band right now, currently. I mean, yeah, my life's a little complicated. I'm all over the place, you know.
Right.
But but Out of Darkness currently is my main focus for sure. Yeah, I
That's
think Brent's
cool.
got actually a couple bands going
Yeah.
besides Out of Darkness.
But yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing too. I mean, a lot of the bands that I'm interviewing, well, a friend of mine, Sam Bam Colton, I don't know if you guys are familiar with him, but he's not only in Faster Pussycat, Dorothy, Butterside, LA Guns. I
Uh,
mean, he's in like 5 different bands.
right.
And I don't know how this guy does it, but he's this year in 23 he told me he's going to have to he's going to have to choose, you
Uh,
know, where
it's
he's
getting
going.
bad.
So, that's a lot of musicians are really kind of stretching themselves. I think everybody's trying to make up. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
Yep.
sure. Trying to make up and trying to make a living.
Exactly. Exactly. And Vegas, we're getting a lot of festivals here in 23.
Nice.
You know, and there's festivals now popping up all over the place. So it's good that you guys are going to be hopping on a few. Uh, Hopefully, you know, we can get you guys live on stage.
Right
And I can
on.
do some film you guys live.
That's cool.
So stoked to get some live videos. It's like every time we play somewhere, you know, I see people whip out their cameras. I see a bunch of people, you know, filming it, but then I never get to see it afterwards, and
Oh
it kills
yeah.
me.
Yeah, I work directly with the bands. So, because I was just last week, I was with the Kings of Thrash and in Joliet, Illinois, for their
Okay.
first date on the tour, and
Uh-huh.
I've done video footage for them before when they were in Vegas.
Mm.
So I love the aspect of doing live video from a point and shoot
Hmm.
versus an iPhone
Right.
because
Oh
it's
yeah.
two totally different elements.
Yep.
And a lot of people don't understand that. They think the iPhone is the holy grail of capturing a band live, and it's really not.
No, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of other elements that are involved. So, yeah, and that's what I try to do with all the bands. And I really can't wait to see you guys on stage and really kind of capture what I see for this band.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, which is going to be awesome. Tell me a little bit about Eric. What was the first album you ever bought with your own money?
Ooh. Oh Jesus Christ. Oh man, what
Oh, you don't want to admit
oh,
it.
oh, I don't know if I can
Tell the
say
I
this.
always get my bands every time with this
Tell
question.
the truth.
Okay. It was Britney Spears. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
It was Britney Spears. I think the record was called Baby One More Time or Oops I Did It Again. It's the one where she's dressed up like a very young, like pretty little schoolgirl or something,
Oh
and
my
she's
God,
looking
that's
at
great.
I played
Eric,
that
I'm
thing a
sorry.
million times.
That's so rock and roll, man. It's okay. You're golden, man.
Yeah.
What
But
about you, Brent?
Mine was Kiss, Kiss Destroyer. I didn't know who they were. I just thought I thought the cover looked amazing. And I'll make it brief, but funny story. I was a little kid and my stepdad at the time gave me $10 to buy Christmas presents for everybody. So I went out to the mall to buy Christmas presents. I walked in, and that's back when like JCPenney and Sears and all that, they sold records.
Yeah.
I saw the Destroyer record. It was $7. I was like, I gotta have it. And he's like, well, you know, that's only gonna leave you $3 for Christmas presents. I didn't care. I had to have that record. That's like one of the baddest album covers ever. And to me, that's their best record.
Yeah, my favorite Kiss album is Love Gun.
Okay, that's a good
Um,
one too.
yeah, I got the original Love Gun record with the
Nice.
actual Love Gun inside,
Aha.
and I've kept it intact for like 20, 30 years.
Very
So
nice.
that's one of my prize collection Kiss records.
Nice.
But yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to spin it. What was the first concert you ever went to?
Oh, you're killing me. Oh, you're kidding me.
It's on the
Oh.
rocks, baby.
Oh my God. Oh, it was also Britney Spears.
What? Oh my God.
Yeah.
There goes our fan base.
Oh, gee, no. This is so rock and roll, man. I can't wait for people to see this show in the next couple days. That's great, dude.
Oh my God. All my medal points are gone.
Oh, no.
I add one thing about the record. My first rock record was The Maze by Vinnie Moore. That was the first rock
Okay.
record.
I love Vinnie Moore, man. Great guitar player.
Yes.
Killer shreds.
Yes, he is.
Awesome. I love that guy. Okay, Brett. Now, what's the first show you
For
went and
me,
saw?
the first big show that I saw was Def Leppard on the Pyromania tour. It was Def Leppard, and they had Crocus opening up for them. That was on their Headhunters tour, and they had another guy by the name of John Butcher Axis.
Oh,
That's the
jeez.
first concert I went to see. That's the first time I ever smoked pot. I mean, I don't know if I could say that. I guess I already did.
It's so rock and roll, man. It's okay.
Yeah, that was a amazing concert. And that's when the drummer had both of his arms.
Yeah.
And I saw him then after
Right.
on the next tour, Hysteria. And the guy did like a little, I don't know if you call it a drum solo, but he played for a little while. And I mean, that dude's amazing, Rick Allen, because if you shut
Oh,
your
yeah.
eyes on the Hysteria tour, you wouldn't have known the guy was missing his arm.
Well, it's funny because I kind of know a little bit about the backstory of that. When that accident actually happened, Lars Ulrich actually flew his drum tech with a full set of drums specifically for Rick Allen.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Yeah. And Lars Ulrich played a big part in getting him like ready for, the next step. And I thought it was absolutely amazing that Lars Ulrich stepped up like that.
Yeah,
Super
that
cool.
is. I mean, Lars gets a lot of hate from a lot of people, but that's I'm glad you shared that with me.
Yeah. I mean, that was an amazing story when I heard it. I'm like, that guy is totally top notch.
Oh yeah.
I mean, because it's a rock community. We all stand by each other,
Sure.
in rock or in crisis. So, yeah, that was super cool. But like my first show was Cheap Trick
Ah,
because I'm from Chicago. So they were the big hometown band,
yeah, I heard that.
I've
heard that.
back in the 80s. So
Very nice.
that was a great show. I mean, Cheap Trick was as raw as you're going to get. I mean, Robin Zander was great. Of course, you've got, the guitar virtuoso of Rick Nielsen, and he brings
Right.
out like 50 guitars.
The 5-neck guitar.
Yeah. So visually, that's just a great fun band.
Right.
Great fun band
Right.
to watch.
Sure.
First, I'll tell you, my first record that I bought with my own money that I saved up, I probably think for like a month, was Fleetwood Mac Rumors.
Nice.
That was my first record, man. And yeah, that record changed my life.
Very nice. Yeah, it's an amazing album.
Yeah, so much rock history, not only in Kiss, Fleetwood Mac, Britney Spears. I mean, she's made rock history now,
Oh, yeah.
pop history.
Yeah.
Moving forward in 23, we're going to see a lot of other people making rock history, such as your band.
Hey.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are on TikTok, you're on Instagram. Yeah, I mean, keep it up because that's what people want to see.
Yep. That's the age we live in.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny, but it's the truth, and you guys are relevant, man. You're posting stuff, keep the dream going. Don't stop.
Always.
I mean, there might be tons of haters out there, but you know what? we're still a rock community, man. We stand by our bands.
Amen. I mean, if you got haters, you're doing something right.
Right, exactly.
True.
Exactly.
And
But yeah, so let's talk about where my viewers can find your music. Let's talk about all your platforms.
Eric,
We can be found on Amazon Music, on Apple Music, on Spotify, on Deezer, on I think just about everywhere. YouTube, of course. You can find us on social media too. You can hear most of it on most social media platforms. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. So if you go to outofdarkness.live, you can also purchase a copy of the record as well as any merchandise. You know, we've got t-shirts and hats and all that stuff, all that good stuff. And it's a great support. It goes directly into the band and the band funds, such as recording costs, you know, production costs, touring costs. So any support like that helps. Check us out of darkness.live.
That's awesome. So definitely keep in touch with me. Let me know like the whole itinerary once you guys get everything locked up. And I'll do a massive promo for you. We'll get all that information out there for you.
Sounds good.
awesome.
Sounds
Thank you.
great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was great meeting you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for
I
having us.
know our relationship is going to continue, so we'll have you back on once you guys hit the road, and we'll have, I'm sure, a lot more stories to tell about what's going on. It was great meeting both of you.
Thank you, you too.
Keep following me. And we're gonna get you back on in the next few months here, and
Cool.
we'll definitely keep social media going for you guys. And believe me, it totally helps. We really appreciate it because I love seeing it.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we'll talk again soon. Thank you so much for coming on,
Alrighty. Thank you so
Thanks
much.
again.
We appreciate it.
and we'll talk soon.
Can't wait to check in from the road. It's gonna be
Yeah,
good.
there you go, man. Some live feeds from the road. Love it.
Yep,
Thanks,
yep.
Brent.
You got it. Metal lives.
See you soon.
Alrighty, take
Okay.
care.
Wow. Out of the Darkness, what a great band. They have a great story to tell, and the story is still continuing. From the Florida area, there's so many great metal bands in Florida just waiting to go on the road. So Out of Darkness, definitely check them out on all platforms: Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, outofthedarkness.com. I can't wait to have them on again, and we'll see them on the road soon. In the next few weeks, the next show is going to be March 5th with Mr. Corey Brown. It's the Corey Brown birthday show. So definitely check that out. There will be future interviews coming up that I'll talk about soon. So thank you for watching. Always like and subscribe. Keeps me going. Thank you so much for the support. And I will see you guys soon.